Our next question comes from Darren Bayless in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Even though I grew up on Stampede Wrestling, my favorite thing was getting wrestling videotapes from the video store, and I was a huge Bobby Eaton fan. So much so that I wanted to get my hair cut and colored just like him, and my mom said no. Anyway.
Your mom was probably a very reasonable woman.
My question is, I've heard Bobby Eaton was the most generous guy on the road. Do you have any great stories about his kindness?
Oh, God. It used to the point where it would endanger us. After a show at Reunion Arena in Dallas one night, we're leaving and driving out. And of course, Bobby wanted to get some beer. Dennis wanted to get something. I wanted to get, I was on the Pepsi at that point in time. I was still on the caffeine. So we stop at this liquor store on the corner, and this is when we first got to Dallas, and we don't realize until we kind of pull up that this is a seamy-looking joint, right? There's like a row of homeless people, 8 or 10 of them, stretching into the darkness down the one side, not where the big fluorescent lights of the liquor store are in the front, but kind of down the side. They're camped out there, and it's just a seamy neighborhood. And so I said, I'll just sit in the car. And Bobby said, I'll get you something, Corny. I'll get you a Pepsi. He goes in, Dennis goes in, gets a fucking 6-pack real quick, comes back out and get in the car. As he's getting in the car, some bum walks up to him and says, so, do you have 25 cents or whatever? He's like, I don't have anything, buddy. He gets in the car and locks it up. Dennis could just be cold and turn people away, right? But goddamn, we're looking through the window of the store, and there's Bobby, and he's talking to some guy. And you see him talking to the guy, and then all of a sudden they both go down an aisle together. And oh, Jesus. And then we see, past the displays and everything, they come up to the cashier and Bobby's checking out and paying and everything. And they walk out the front door. And I swear to God, this fucking bum has a grocery sack full of shit. I mean, it's almost like you see goddamn French bread sticking up the top. Bobby's bought him groceries. He's got a cigar in his pocket. Bobby's bought him groceries. He's got some shit tucked in his back pocket. Bobby's shaking the free hand that's not holding the shit and fucking slapping him on the back. And Bobby has his own 6-pack and me a Pepsi, and he gets in the car and we start to pull out, and that old bum with that brand new sack of shit goes around that corner, starts walking down that dark street past all those homeless people. And Dennis said, Bobby, you just got that motherfucker killed. And of course he got it. There was a large bottle of liquor in the fucking sack also. But, yeah, I mean, the boys, and I think the last time I saw Rick Steiner, he was still talking about this, but a lot of the boys do. And when you mentioned Bobby Eaton in the locker room, it used to be a rib. Go ask Bobby to borrow something just to see if he's got it. Because he carried these giant duffel bags you could have stuffed the bodies of, small adult women in. And they were fucking huge, and they were expandable. And in those bags, he would stuff in, I don't know if a hotel room ever kept a towel after Bobby stayed there, and he brought 10 from home also. So he had a duffel bag. Literally, he's dragging bags and things slung over his shoulder, but towels and toiletries and sewing kits and socks and tape. Multiples of each of these things, anything a wrestler would need on the road. And it got to the point where guys would get so specific. They'd be like, Bobby, do you have any silverware? And he would pull out a knife and fork out of his fucking bag. And then, of course, he'd lend it to him and they wouldn't give it back to him. And again, a lot of them as a rib and some of them not as a rib. But he'd replace the shit, and he was like a traveling convenience store.
I've heard Steve Austin talk about that as well. I guess it's something that all the boys would talk about was he had those bags filled with stuff. But let's move
Bobby,
on.
I need a towel. Oh, sure. You need another one? Need one for tomorrow? Take one with you. It was just ludicrous.
Our next question.
I'm going to go up. Bobby, do you have a set of china? I'm giving a small tea.